Staying with us, Gift of the Givers has partnered with the KwaZulu-Natal and Western Cape disaster management teams to speed up search and rescue as well as recovery operations in KZN. They'll also provide a helicopter, specialized equipment and funding for the exercise. To talk more about this, we're joined by Gift of the Givers founder, Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman. Dr. Suleiman, afternoon, morning, welcome to the program. The search, as we've been seeing now, has taken a much more somber turn. Many families beginning to accept somewhat the reality that what they are now looking for are remains of their loved ones.
Yes, good morning. This is what triggered it off. In the beginning, everybody was looking at the disaster, the infrastructure damage, people had to be displaced. But by day 3 and 4, the reality is set in that many people are missing. We didn't realize that so many people were missing until you got to the areas. The networks were not working. People had no electricity. They couldn't charge their phones. They couldn't send messages across. The areas wasn't accessible. And finally, when you got to the areas, and unfortunately, you can't get to so many areas at the same time. It really struck us a day ago when one of our team members was in Inanda. And he said he was puzzled to see people sitting on the edge of the river. And he asked them, "What are you doing there? It's not safe." And they said, "We're waiting for the bodies of our family members to float down from the top. And we're waiting to catch them." And then we started getting other calls. We got 2 kids in a place in the Reservoir Hills. People are digging. There's not many people helping. There's no emergency services here. We can't manage. Can somebody help dig our children out? And we started getting similar messages from another area. People said, there's a stench of body coming out of this place. So when it started repeating itself that often, we realized there's a big need, that it seems there's a lot of missing people, both in river and on land. And at that same point, as we're thinking, the Western Cape Disaster Management called us. We have friends among them. They're also part of our team, some of them. They were coming to Maritzburg, which is my city. And they said, look, they've been called by KZN Provincial Disaster. And all congratulations to KZN Provincial Disaster to say, look, we cannot manage. We need more help. We need more qualified personnel. It's just too big for us. And we commend them for making that decision. So our teams are also on the way to join and work together to see what we can do and identify the areas, to work in different areas where people are calling for assistance. It's very, very important. Everybody mentions people need dignity, they need closure, they need to find the bodies, they need to bury them. It's part of all our cultures that we have to retrieve the bodies and give them a decent burial, and we're also stepping in to help. We will make helicopters available to the disaster teams if necessary. We've got our own equipment, search equipment that we're making available, and if more is required, we'll make that available also.
And Dr. Suleiman, as we speak to you, we're showing pictures now to our viewers, a live shot of a search that's underway in KwaZulu-Natal for an 8-year-old girl also swept away by the floods on Monday. Her grandmother was also swept away. She's now been recovered. Now we've seen the mother and the father joining efforts, digging up or digging through soil, hoping to find the remains of their child. We're told by the community members they've seen her clothes at the scene. There is also a stench in the area which has led people to believe that sadly this child may indeed have died in the tragedy. How are you dealing with the people who are reaching out to you at a psychosocial support level as well? Because it's one thing to look for the remains of a loved one or continue to look for them in hospitals, for example, but it takes its toll on you as a person.
Well, for us, our workers, they're quite trained to this. And, for our staff have been trained in distancing. We don't get attached to any situation. In terms of the people who need counseling, it doesn't work immediately. Right now, they're more interested in finding the child, and thereafter, psychosocial support comes in. And that's generally provided by government to the social workers and the counselors. That doesn't work now. People are not interested in counseling them right now. Just a warm word, embrace to say, sorry, you offer condolences. But nobody's interested in full therapy right now. Until and unless they find the body, they're not going to be at peace. They're not going to rest at ease. And that's something that will follow once the funeral is over, once they have closure, they have time to grieve, and at that point, you will get, the psychosocial support coming in. But in terms of our teams, this is what our teams do. When we go to earthquakes, when they went to Haiti, they pulled out hundreds of bodies, from the churches, from the schools. Whole schools collapsed, and hundreds of kids were caught. And all they did was take out bodies in Haiti, except we found one live person 8 days later, which made world history. But in this situation, I must commend the communities for going all out to help and dig. But I must tell you, a sad story, very similar to this. This is a big river area. We've got a person that's in a confined space, in a yard, in a house in Durban North. It's taken 4 days and they still can't find the person in a confined space in the yard. So we can understand how difficult it's going to be in an open space like that. But God willing, with everybody intervening, we will find their child.
I mean, you were telling us just earlier that you've had families who were waiting at a riverside saying they're hoping to see the washed-up remains of their loved ones so they can retrieve them. How many families have now reached out to you as Gift of the Givers for help?
We made the call just about an hour ago, to say, call. Already the messages are coming out from there. All the message hasn't reached everybody yet, but the information is coming in. There's lots of information from Inanda. For some reason, there seems to be a lot of trouble in Inanda, or people missing in Inanda. Manning Hills, the other one, the one that you're saying there. We got a call from Reservoir Hills and from some other areas where people are missing. We're collating that, and as we're coming in, we're giving to this disaster center that is set up in Durban, in Virginia Airport. All the information is going from there, and the teams are being dispatched from there. Our teams are part of that team. We're all working together as one. So whatever information I get, it's Sunday.
Speak to us, sir, about the size of the teams now that you've joined forces with KZN and Western Cape authorities.
There's a lot of people. I haven't got the exact number, but yesterday alone there were probably 40 or 50. More people came today. It's probably going to get to 80 or more, if not 100. And if necessary, if we need, we can bring more of our team members from other parts of the country. And also, it will be important that those who have experience, who may be retired or not in the services anymore, would have had experience in this. It would be great if they make themselves available, if they are needed, to have more teams. Any additional support will be welcome if required.
And you talk about experience, Dr. Suleiman, and I'm looking at the visuals now once again of that search for the 8-year-old girl. People there digging, in some cases lifting rocks with their bare hands. And given that the soil, the ground had given way on Monday and on Tuesday as well, you also have to worry and wonder, I suppose, about the safety of the area as people dig on their own without necessarily the expertise of knowing when it's safe to do so and how to do it exactly, given the sensitivity of this, the layout, the soil.
That's something you can never control. When you want your family person, people will come and they will take every risk possible. It's simple to understand that. If your child is lost, what will you do? And you will move a mountain, earth, and earth and mountain, heaven and earth to get things done. People will do that. They won't worry about their own personal safety. And that's why the great thing of this country is everybody gets involved. I mean, we know about children who were caught up in the river, and the entire community got out to walk along the length of the river to assist. There is just so much of Ubuntu in this country that has brought us together. The tragedy is it takes long. It's very, very hard with that soft soil, and if more rain comes, it's just going to make things more difficult. You've got earth-moving equipment also in the area. But all that, because there's so much of soil, the person could be anywhere. And even the same case of the domestic. They found a doll that belongs to the domestic's child. They found the file or the folder that belongs to the domestic. You can get the smell of the decomposed body, but still in that confined space, it's still very hard to find the domestic. So, all we can do is just wait, and hopefully we will succeed.
And finally, the need for food, shelter, blankets, is that still as widespread as when you first arrived in KZN to assist?
Yeah, we're getting calls from many areas. You think all the shelters have been set up, and you get messages up till an hour ago. There's 50 people here. They haven't had food for 3 or 4 days. People here need blankets. These ones need food parcels. Some people haven't had water for 5 days. The request is ongoing. The water issue is understandable. It's not because the filtration, the purification systems have been affected. So that's clear. The pipes are broken. So people who have not been affected by the floods directly require water because the normal water is not working. Yes, it's working in some areas, and some areas have come on. But by far and large, people need water. And then, of course, it's Easter weekend. So there's not enough deliveries of water. There's not enough production of water. The water companies have run out of plastic bottles to fill water. So all this is an additional challenge. But yes, the water, whatever delivery is coming, there's water tankers, there's boreholes. But to answer your question, there's still lots of requests for soup kitchens, for bulk food, for cooking, for mattresses, for blankets. We're getting that every hour. I know, and support in that case for those items. Once it stabilizes and people go back to their homes, they may need some stuff to just fix their homes up. but others are going to require proper building or corrugated sheeting and wood again to rebuild the shacks. And we will make that available. We will provide building kits for those people who want to rebuild their homes. So the sooner they get back to their lives and kids can go back to school, it's better for everyone.
How do the rest of us help in this situation? Where can we send donations?
You can send donations, to my bank details. I don't know if you're going to take that down, but it's Gift of the Givers. Standard Bank, Peter Marisburg. It's 05213 7228. The branch code is 057525. And the reference has to be KZN Floods. But to make your life easy, they can call my toll-free line 0800 786 911.
911.
There's one more number that's specific for missing persons. Please don't use this number for anything else except if you know there's people missing. Otherwise, you're going to delete those lines. 072 818 2050. Just send a WhatsApp. Don't phone. No message call. Just a WhatsApp to say missing person, Inanda, Median Hill, Kwamashu, Amlazi, wherever, Red Hill, Effingham, missing person in this area, contact number. That can be given to the search and rescue teams, and they can come out and look.
And you said the number is 072-818-2050.
Yes.
Right, that is the number you can use to get in touch with Gift of the Givers if you are reporting anything related to missing persons. Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman will let you go. We know there are a busy few hours ahead for you. Thank you so much for all that you're doing in KZN and in other areas. If you do also want to speak to Gift of the Givers, by the way, as far as making a donation, the toll-free number is 0800 786 911. That number again, 0800 786 911. That's if you want to get in touch as far as donations and having goods and perhaps money even sent to assist people in KwaZulu-Natal. But if you are getting in touch about a missing persons issue, do not call. Dr. Suleiman says do not call that line, but simply send a text via WhatsApp or SMS. That number is 072-818-2050. We'll put those numbers up for you on screen and put together really just a file of hotlines that you can ring should you need any help yourself or be willing to offer assistance at this point.